Hello, my friends. Russell Wright from networkempire.com. I really want to express my appreciation for everybody making it to this webinar. And there's a few interesting things happening today. Sue Bell will be on a little bit later on, and she's going to run through the DWS. And if she doesn't make it, I'm going to insert a DWS demo for DWS Lite that she recorded previously. Okay. This webinar is Video Website Silo Architecture. And this is really about the ultimate conversion persuasion architecture combined with technical SEO. I know that there are people here from all kinds of walks of life. We have people from the agencies, we have industry leaders from around the world, including internet marketers that make well over $100,000 a month. We also have people here who haven't made money online at all. And I really do believe that video website silo architecture and video conversion and video focus is kind of the unifying force, or the fractal attractor, if you will. An organizing principle is a better way to say it. That's going to bring together a lot of things for everyone at whatever level you're at. Okay, and so let's go ahead and just get started. I'm going to be walking through the brain. The brain is just a way for me to keep organized. Let me see if I can get into presentation mode here. So we know this is an image of the video website silo architecture. You can see the only difference really is that there's videos on each page. We still have the silo landing page and the unique product aspect and the video, non-video supporting articles. It doesn't really matter if you use video or not, but we just want to add video. So we're going to get right into talking about why we built this course. So what is website silo architecture? Just really simply, it is a conversion, overlap of website silo architecture, which we're going to talk about in a moment for those of you who are brand new and have never been introduced to this concept before, and persuasion architecture, which is really about the conversion of the site. So SEO means search engine optimization. ECO means engagement conversion optimization. And we want you to have the best possible ranking for that. You see, that's the best possible ranking and the highest possible conversion. Okay, you can see that the sweet spot is there. So SEO, search engine optimization, is overlapping with ECO, or engagement and conversion optimization. Engagement is becoming the name of the game, you guys and gals. Even Google is opening a new agency firm called Google Engage. It's all about engagement, not so much about website and SEO as much anymore. It's one small part of a larger system. We're trying to prepare you for what's coming. All right, so what is website SEO silo architecture? Well, just really quickly, website silo architecture is the ability to organize your internal linking structure in your site so that the search engines know what you're talking about. If you're on a category page, for example, and you're talking about something that's on a silo page and you link back to it, the search engine spiders kind of metaphorically view that link with the keyword, or even not a keyword, but they view that link as kind of a shout. A hyperlink you can consider a shout. Regular text you can consider a whisper. I hope that that metaphor doesn't confuse you, but that's the best way for beginners and intermediates I've been able to describe linking. If you're shouting a lot about a specific keyword or topic, and that via a link or a hyperlink, and it's pointing back to another page, when the spiders come and follow that link, it's going to seem like if you're shouting a lot a specific keyword via linking to a specific page, preferably a silo landing page, then Google is going to believe that what you're shouting about, the keywords you're shouting about, is what your page is about. And eventually they'll lift you up in the search engine rankings because all your pages that are about that are shouting about that silo landing page. And if that silo landing page has great content and a video and conversion, then you have the ranking as well as the conversion. Okay. Now, we've spent almost 10 years teaching people about website silo architecture since I first learned about it via Bruce Clay in the early 2000s. And so we'll go ahead and just talk about Persuasion website silo architecture. We've actually got a link here. Go ahead and make sure you visit themezoomglossary.com. You can ignore this hard, complicated URL up here. Themezoomglossary.com and go to website silo architecture, or you can click on the brain. I'm going to be giving you this brain embedded in one of the pages, and you can just click on it, and we actually will show you. We'll show you each one of the links that I have, and I add links all the time. Some people really don't like the brain technology, and that's fine. So we can just use the regular PDF or layout that we have. Okay. We have about 5 different formats we put stuff in. So now that we know what SEO, or search engine silo architecture, is all about, let's talk about website persuasion architecture. WPA, okay, where we talk about engagement conversion optimization. Website persuasion architecture is really about using all the techniques, methods, and systems that you've read by great copywriters, design layout experts, to have higher conversion where people actually take action on your website. Okay, now here's a quick shot from something that you get as part of the bonus in the website, the video website silo architecture course. This is a grid where I cover some of the best, most well-known and notorious persuasion masters of our time. And this is called the Persuasion Architecture Mastery Comparison Chart. Sometimes in neuroscience, it's been shown that when you compare one thing against another, it gives you a better idea of how and when to use it. The biggest problem my students have when they get into copywriting, persuasion, and conversion, and even neuromarketing and copy manipulation and neurolinguistics programming, they don't really fully understand how to utilize, where they should use each type of persuasion method. So in the Persuasion Architecture Mastery Comparison Chart, not only do I give you some of the most powerful methods in the world, like you can see here, Oren Klaff's Pitch Anything book is probably one of the highest end converting, probably one of the highest dollar converting pitch methods and copywriting persuasion methods ever used. But I also tell you exactly where it should be used. So we give a whole other column in here about what type of online medium should you use a particular type of persuasion methodology. And a lot of people leave that out. Even a lot of the great copywriters leave that out. So that's in here. But persuasion architecture is anything that's used to, let me see if I've got a definition of persuasion architecture. Yeah, okay, here's the conversion again. Here's a whole list of things, compelling opt-ins and offers. Okay, you've got a bunch of different things right here on this glossary definition. Okay, we're not going to get into each one, but anything that has to do with getting people to take action on your on your silo landing page or anywhere, for example, is a persuasion element. And website persuasion architecture is the method that you choose to use to make sure that people actually get excited, take action. This will increase time on site, by the way. You can tell that persuasion is happening fairly well if time on site is, if it's engaging, or at least engagement. It's very good if the time on site is high. And so this is the stuff we get into in the course. All right. Let's go ahead and go back. Okay, so here's what we're going to cover today. I'm going to go over this very quickly because we have a lot to cover. I'm going to do my very, very best. This is some of the most powerful material that I've given away, and it's covering a couple different aspects of our software and disciplines. So I have to work very diligently when we get towards the end to make sure that you don't get confused when I give you the 6 iframe multi-curation punch method, because we're really not talking about website silo architecture with that method. With that method, we're talking about, this is a bonus module I'm giving you to help you quickly flip stories and syndicate via curation to drive traffic to your silo website, your website silo architecture, your conversion site. So we're going to first cover VWSA, connecting our software and our services dots, so that you understand all the things that you have access to inside Network Empire. And many of you, for example, are really super excited about the DWS SEO silo software that goes right into your blog via a blog plugin. It allows you to make this high-ranking infrastructure of SEO, high-ranking SEO infrastructure internally to your site in just a few minutes, where it used to take thousands of dollars of my time and energy and a whole team to do it. Now we give you an amazing system to be able to do that called Domain Web Studio Lite, if you've purchased the basic membership, and Pro if you've purchased the $147 a month for unlimited license. And we're going to get into the connecting of that dot, of all the dots of all of our software. We're going to give you a quick overview of the Domain Web Studio. And again, I'm going to either have Sue come on board or insert her into this particular, video after the webinar is done. And so that's really cool. We're going to give you an overview, and either way, you'll be able to see it. Okay, Domain Web Studio Lite is a single license, meaning you can do one website. You can essentially connect one blog with all the data at a time in the $49 a month membership to our Network Empire membership area. And of course, you have all the incredible courses and step-by-steps, content curation, Google Plus RSS. You have access to our Painfinder, which we're going to get in shortly. Amazing stuff that you get. But one of the distinguishing factors of DWS Lite and DWS Silo Builder Pro is unlimited blogs. You're welcome to use the light version, and when you can just get rid of the site when you're done. And what that means is you won't be able to add other silos later on and grow your content. It's kind of like once you plant the plant, if you uproot it by deleting the site, you won't really be able to bring that site back in very easily and grow it further later on. So if you're done using Domain Web Studio and you just like to churn and burn, build quick silos in a blog, and then you're done, and you use our plugin to import it, then you can blow away the website inside this control panel in Domain Web Studio. And when you blow it away, then you can just use another blog. That's DWS Lite. You only get one blog at a time. The Pro version gives you unlimited blogs, okay, DWS Lite Pro, and you can do as many as you want. Many people, and including our agencies, they keep their data permanently in here so they can continually grow their sites, their keywords, their research, and add silos later on. Once you remove it from this, it's very difficult, in fact, almost impossible to connect or synchronize back with your plugin. So we got that question, it's our most common FAQ, out of the way. Also, in the video, I'm going to be showing where Sue goes over Domain Web Studio. The Pro version of Domain Web Studio, the agency version, has several more tabs, and those tabs are for managing outsourcers. You can publish content directly. In the Lite version, you do not publish your content directly from the Lite. Okay, you're gonna go into your blog WYSIWYG editor and add everything manually. So this is why we call it Lite, because we took out all the agency kind of steps. But you can still get that structure, that blog infrastructure, and that SEO infrastructure that allows for buoyant page rank. That is the ability for your site to rank for thousands of keywords or hundreds of keywords instead of just a couple, using up to 90% fewer inbound links than your competition, because that's what SEO website silo architecture is all about. The ability to rank higher using much fewer inbound links. It's the whole purpose of the silo structuring. Okay, so we're going to go over that. Quick overview of Painfinder and the Google Plus RSS Maker application. As you know, we've launched Painfinder. This is the version 1.0. Painfinder will go and bring back, for a keyword or a theme, hundreds of questions and the order of which they have been asked, and they are hierarchically ordered in the number of views the question has had on Quora. Quora is one of the fastest ways that, as an expert, that I can drive traffic to a website, specifically high quality traffic. If someone's on Quora, they're fairly intelligent. The intelligence ratio goes way up, and some of the better relationships you'll have come from Painfinder. Finding the pain, or the painkiller article method, and a variety of other systems that we teach our advanced $20,000 certification event members are around questions of the answers, the pain behind the questions, how to extract that. Well, now we've given you an amazing software, and in the bonus module that comes with, that I promised with the video webinar here, video website silo architecture webinar, I'm going to show you something that I normally reserve for paid members in the advanced area, and that is the 6 iframe curation punch method. And it's a little risky to show you something that advanced, but it's really useful. And you can find, even if you don't use all of it, you're going to learn so much in the process of learning that. Because if you answer a question and you start curating people's pains and answering and become a soothing balm on the pains of your market with your products or services, you're going to get a lot of traffic and you're going to get a lot of sales straight away. And in the iframe stacking system, I'm going to show you, you're able to have that help, that solution, permeate a variety of different platforms and give you multiple streams of traffic. Okay. Quick overview: the last keyword tool versus Kraken. Okay. Sue will give you a overview and the relationship of the difference between the last keyword tool software and the Kraken software. And we're also going to show you the price difference. Some of you who've come in at $49 do not have access to TLKT or Kraken. If you come in at that price point, you might want to take a 3-day, buy a 3 or 4 day pass of Kraken for $49 and spend those 2 or 3 days doing your research, and then you can import them into DWS. Or you might want to upgrade to a subscription of the last keyword tool. This is the only natural language processing and co-occurrence keyword tool on the market. I can tell you for sure, we've checked this, we've found nothing. There is no other keyword research tool on the planet that includes co-occurrence, which is really one of the Cliff Note short, one of the short mechanisms, mathematical mechanisms used as a beginning step in natural language processing and latent semantic indexing. We back engineer all that stuff in a way that Google doesn't even want to give you. We give you the co-occurrence, and this should profoundly affect how you build your silo structures, how you answer the questions, how you integrate your solution towards people's pain, and how you rank quickly, sometimes in less than 15 minutes for deep pains, and your solution becomes predominantly active in someone's mind. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. We're also going to give you the bonus, the 5-step iframe punch. If you include the 6th frame bonus, it's also in there. This is a fast way for you to get content out there in less than 15 minutes when you get good using YouTube, Quora, Storify, Scoop It, your blog, and a few other things. Okay, it's my favorite thing. I actually love it. This system that I use right here is what makes me happy and excited as the blogger for Network Empire to get up out of bed in the morning. Because the drudgery of quickly penetrating into the market and getting all kinds of multiple streams of traffic to your blog for non-evergreen items like news stories and the rest, this is the fastest way to do it. Okay, so the team, hopefully you'll see that the team here is Sue, Kelly, Matt, and myself. Sue Bell is sometimes called the architect. Kelly is often called Boy Genius because he actually is he really is. Kraken, the last keyword tool, is just crazy brainiac stuff. Super genius programmer. Without him, Kraken and TLKT wouldn't be what they are today. Matt DeCruz, I often call Mr. Synergy because he has such a team effort-minded personality. He also is really KPI oriented, key performance indicators. He really likes to watch and see how the money is working and in the business, and all of our students that coach with him, that are his coaching students and my coaching students, we really focus on making sure that before you even build sites, you're going to make enough money. It doesn't really matter if you're flipping them or what it is that you're doing. Okay, so this is very important stuff. So let's get started. Just a reminder that your empire, your socially activated perpetual downstream traffic system, is really what this is all about. This is the system that we teach advanced certification members. We show people how to glue together their empire via RSS feeds, but all of it begins at ground zero, which is the number 1 on this chart, which is your transaction site. Your transaction site might be built on any kind of platform, you guys. It might be built on WordPress. Okay, but that doesn't mean that it's your WordPress blog roll. There's many kinds of themes in WordPress that you can build a permanent SEO silo structure. Okay, and we build the silo structures mostly out of pages. Okay, because pages get better rankings in general in WordPress, and they're more permanent, and they're not really about blogging. Okay, they're very different than the stuff that I'm going to show you later on today about how to do fast, rapid-fire blogging and story flipping and non-evergreen news stories. In other words, stuff that's going to expire in 2 or 3 weeks or even less sometimes. I still speak to those because I use a very, very quick, rapid-fire system I'm going to show you. And this is what I want you to understand, is that your first site that you build, your transaction site, should also be siloed. But this is kind of permanent or pseudo-permanent content. You're addressing questions that are more evergreen. Evergreen means it's going to be around for 2 months or more, preferably much longer. For me, evergreen means a year or more. It's very likely that it'll last a year or more. Now, in the technology industry, things will tend to last less than that. So, 1 year in one industry may be 5 months in my industry. But this, you can see all the different kinds of platforms we use. When we're talking about the socially activated one web ring, we're not really talking about the kind of web rings that get busted where blogs are trying to gain page rank and everybody's buying links from them. And we're talking about your own personal brand broadcast network system where all those platforms, including which is all the dots on the screen here, are platforms that your story, your tweets, your flips, your content, your videos, your curation material can be syndicated to and then communicated and broadcast to a wide audience. Each one of these dots on the screen, each one of these numbers, represent a unique channel of traffic, a unique channel of traffic stream. Okay, so this is really what we're all about. If you haven't heard about the One Web Ring socially activated perpetual downstream traffic system, please do click on the link. We have a great animation that'll help you kind of get it together, and I do generally go over this type of stuff. We do have an educational flash presentation that takes you through it. and you'll be able to see what each step in this process means. Now, even if you're a newbie, this kind of advanced network personal brand broadcast building system is something that you're going to want to do over time. Even if you only have 3 dots on here, you don't have to be overwhelmed instead of 18 or 50, and one of our networks is even 100. That's fine. You don't have to have that right now. Okay, but we just want you to begin to have a vision on how that works and how very cool you automate what you automate what can be automated, and you naturalize what can be naturalized. Don't buy the hype that things can't be automated. It's utter nonsense. But also don't buy the hype that everything should be automated, because in a social network, we have to show our certification students where to automate and where not to automate. So that should be something that you are excited about learning in the Network Empire members area and in our live certification events. Then we're going to move on to video. Let's talk about video website style architecture, the basic workflow overview. Okay. This workflow overview is a super basic. I created it for the absolute newbie to show you how you should utilize the tools that you have purchased from us. And I created a simple diagram, a simple PDF stacking diagram. Sue has a more complex workflow that she's going to show you. I'm the person in the company that creates the simple workflows overall. And when it comes to the agency workflows, Matt and Sue cover those. And we have a much more granular workflow that I'm going to show you today. A much more granular workflow that I'm not going to show you today. But you're going to have direct access to it in the membership area. Okay, and so let's go ahead and move on to that. So let's talk about it. What is phase 1? What the heck are you selling? Okay, the biggest challenge that I have with students, whether you're advanced or new, is you have to have something to sell. A lot of people come in from places like the Warriors Forum or beginners networks, and they don't even have a product yet because they're looking for an opportunity. I got to tell you that that's not really us. If you still do not have a product, you're learning. Just remember that we don't teach you how to create a product. We don't teach you how to find products. You should go somewhere else to do that, more or less. We have some things. We teach you to build personal brand broadcasting networks. And if you have a brand with no products, you're not going to make any money. Okay, so this is the main thing that we want you to understand, that obviously you need to have something to sell. So I created this phase 1 to remind you your seed keyword is your buy button. This is what you're going to end up drilling into. Okay, for example, if you have a magic card trick to sell, the first keyword you would ever drill into in Kraken would be magic, and the first keyword you'd ever drill into with TLKT would probably be magic card tricks. Okay, or a magic card trick. You might drill into magic in TLKT as well. And the reason you need to know what you're selling is that because you don't know what keyword you're starting from. I know it seems obvious to a lot of you, but you would not believe how many times people who don't have any products spend weeks and months doing keyword research, because what they're doing is they're data mining to try to find products. They're hoping if they find the perfect niche that they can go and decide what to do. And that's not really how it works. I mean, that you can data mine. People do it all the time. But 90% of the people are not that kind of an affiliate marketer where they can go out, find the product, take over the universe, own, literally launch jack everybody's product that's already out there or whatever, or become a super affiliate. There's only a small percentage of people that are that kind of alpha personality. So don't try that if you're a beginner. If you're a beginner, go out and find a good business, a product that you believe in, and then start researching that from the top down, and that's just become better than everybody else. And I would recommend for beginners, you don't hear this a lot. I would recommend for beginners that you love the product that you're selling. I'm going to repeat that. Love the product that you're selling. As you'll learn in a lot of our branding, we teach Simon Sinek. One of the things we teach is Simon Sinek's start with why. You have to start with why, then go to how, and then go to what. If you don't have your what yet, building the brand is going to be, it might be easy for you to build the brand, but you really need to have a transaction to make your brand pay for itself. Okay? So otherwise, unless you want to go nonprofit. So phase 1 is starting with your keyword. You need your keyword. Walk backwards from your buy button towards your keyword. Start with the keywords about what you're selling. Drill into Kraken and TLKT. And then, one thing I would say is that before you even drill into Kraken and TLKT, get your buy button up there. If you've got a product, I don't care if you have a white HTML page with nothing else on it except the buy button. Seriously, I have to tell you, it is true. There are $1 million single website pages. Okay, I've seen them. I've even built some that are highly profitable. I built a one-page site that made $14,000. Okay, so it's everything that's connected on the other side of that page that's important. Okay, so remember, toss that buy button up. For example, one of our courses, if I toss a buy button up, it's going to make a lot of money, and it's only going to be one page, but that's because we have a lot of content and we have a lot of back-end systems running. So get your buy button up first, get the transaction in order if you can, so that you have it up there. Another thing that happened is the first time I ever made a sale online, it's a really funny thing. You get a buy button, if you put a buy button up there, gosh darn it, somebody might click it. Even, this is what I'm saying is like there's something that happens in your brain psychically when you get a buy button up. When you put it up there, I remember handing my business card out one time and the site wasn't even done. The buy button was up, but the rest of the site wasn't ready. They went and bought it from me anyways because it passed word of mouth. So hopefully I'm not beating that dead horse there, but I want you to really, really get that. Nothing's stopping you from making a sale right now. Remember, the money's in the sale. So phase 2 is going to be the theme research, Kraken. Because once you have a buy button up, you most definitely will have a product. And if you have a product up, you're probably going to have a keyword. Okay, at least one keyword. Any keyword will do related to what you're selling. Magic card tricks. For ThemeZoom, you type in the word magic, you drill into it, and it pulls back brilliant keywords in about 9 minutes. This tool is so powerful, it should never have been made. Okay? Literally, it's all I use to mill out blogs every day. All right? If you have a long tail like magic card tricks, you can put that into TOKT. It'll give you hundreds of keywords that are latent semantically indexed using natural language processing, co-occurrence. The difference between Kraken and TOKT is that Kraken pulls all of the cost and amount of money that people have spent on all the keywords in the giant pile, and they tell you how much that word, how much AdWords spending there has been on that keyword over the last year. It's called total search market value. The last keyword tool doesn't do that. It only goes one keyword at a time with that. And there's a huge difference. Kraken is like the gigantic nuclear device, and TOKT is like the, I don't know, something not as big as a full global detonation. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. We're not going to get deep into that, but it's stuff you really want to have. Phase 3 is import keywords from TOKT or Kraken or both, and start building your permanent silo structures for money site using Domain Web Studio. When I say your permanent silo structures, what I mean is not your blog. And I'm going to keep emphasizing that through this webinar today. These are pages that are going to be up a year or more, hopefully. You might do some editing, or there might be some changes, or you might provide. But this is your brochure site. These are your silo pages, your articles that are the most evergreen. Okay, you're not going to be doing things like curation, or it's not your weekly blog post or your daily blog post. Separate in your mind your blog post from your website silo, your transaction site. Yes, you can use website silo architecture on both your blog and your main site. And yes, you can use WordPress for your primary WR1 or your transaction site. Yes, you can. Okay, but what is the main difference? We'll find out here in a second. The main difference is that a blog is something that you're putting out plenty of posts, preferably 5 per week, if not 3 per week. If you can't do that, do 1 per week. Do what you can. And that is what we call frequency of publish. That's your broadcast. Constantly broadcasting. Your silo landing page is going to be your site that's structured in a permanent order and is using all the technology of website silo architecture to rank higher for far fewer inbound links than your competition. Phase 4 is to create painkiller videos and articles. Now, what we're talking about here is once you've got the structure laid out, then it's time to add your videos and articles. And one of the great secrets that we talk to our certification students about is once you've determined through the processes that we provide using TOKT, Kraken, and Domain Web Studio Lite or Domain Web Studio Pro, is now you have the perfect keyword tree, literally the theme tree that's worth the biggest pile of money ever. And I can guarantee you're probably better researched on that, where the pile of money with those words are, than anybody else in your niche or market, unless they're using our tools. I guarantee it. Okay. So once you have that done, now it's time to start filling that structure, those pages up with content. And the pages that you're filling up are going to be filled with video or articles. Okay. And there's a variety of ways you can create those. A quick way to create them is using Painfinder. You can research questions in Painfinder based on themes and long-tail keywords discovered in the previous phases. And what you'll do at that point is you'll find, if you see that 90 people or 90,000 people are looking at the same question on Quora about magic card tricks. Like, how do they stack the decks? That's actually a true question. The number one asked question for magic card tricks on Quora is, how do they do card stacking? Okay, well, my client, who's actually in that industry, is he has a card trick he invented, actually was blown away when I found that for him. And that actually became an article and a video that he created on his permanent silo landing page for that particular product, which was card stacking. Okay, and because he has a product that is so congruent with that, it made sense for him to create a permanent video and a permanent sales page with some permanent information on that page about it. Now he kept it interesting but incomplete, and essentially they had to do an opt-in before he gave them any more information about card stacking. But that's an example which we'll get into here shortly. Okay, so we're going to use you're going to use the, let me go back here real quick. You're going to use the Painfinder software, which is part of your membership, to ask the questions. I'm actually going to demo it here in a second, and you'll be able to pull those questions with the most number of views, or even the least number of answers, and you'll be able to answer the question better and put that on your main site. And incidentally, you can also add it directly to Quora to drive traffic specifically as a unique traffic stream from Quora. Okay, so phase 5 is creating a broadcasting blog with theme mirrored categories. Now, don't get overwhelmed. This is the most difficult slide in this whole presentation. So just relax and realize that this is something that we get our most questions about. Okay, your broadcasting blog, which you see on the far right here, the tiny silo site, is your blog that you're going to be doing your broadcasting posts, in your WordPress blog. These are industry news, and you need to have some non-evergreen material going out so that you have a frequency of publish. Things are moving so fast on the web that if you stagnate and you don't republish and create a new ping or a new RSS ping with a new blog post at least once a week, minimum twice a month, then your site will start to lose rankings. It'll start to go stagnant. Unless the content is so mind-blowing and so many people are linking to your blog out in the blog space that you don't even need to add content but once a month, that's highly unlikely and highly doubtful. That would be the only exception. Or you're buying so many links to your blog that you don't need to blog anymore. I seriously doubt that's the case. And by the way, that's not a great way to build a brand. So what I'm talking about here is once you create your perfect silo structure, or least imperfect website silo architecture structure, then you can mirror that structure on your blog. Now, one of the big questions we get is, can I create my blog, my broadcasting blog, my daily post blog on the same domain as my transaction site is, or my WR1, my WebRing1 transaction site, or do I need to have them on a separate domain? I'm actually doing both. I have networkempire.com/blog is a blog technology that is my broadcast for my non-evergreen, meaning less than a year or less than 6 months content could even be useless in 2 weeks actually. Doesn't matter because I'm getting out there and spreading the news and gathering traffic back to my site by keeping up to date with news. Okay, so but I also have networkempirenews.com, which is still non-evergreen. I built that because I was experimenting with some different themes, but that's its own domain on a different C block that provides unique inbound link juice to Network Empire and ThemeZoom. So this is what you call link passing, and what you're doing is passing different link juice and different traffic and different visitors from different domains to a centralized location. Okay, but what I really want you to understand here is if you look on the main money site, that's the large website silo architecture thumbnail here, it doesn't matter to us whether you build that transaction site, that money site, in HTML or a blog or Joomla, or we're working with some people on Drupal. You can DWS, Domain Web Studio, output in XML format, and we can work with you to make it work with anything, any type of system. So it's not just stuck on WordPress. Okay, it works with any other types of thing. Okay, so the main point here is for you to understand that you've got your permanent pages that have great content, anywhere from 750 to 1,000 words or more, with a video at the top of them, preferably. And those articles are pretty much evergreen, if not evergreen, over a year. And they take the most effort to write. Okay. Whereas your blog post, your real-time industry news flipping, your company announcements or the company specials that might only be good for 2 weeks or less, or even a day, who knows. When you see how to use Storify and different things and tweets that interact with content curation, you realize that you can put a story together in 5 minutes that generates sales and massive traffic. It's out there for a long time. And even if it's not evergreen, you can drive that traffic in. It actually takes me less than 15 minutes to create a story that generates thousands of visitors. Okay, but that's not the main money site. That's the broadcasting blog. And whether you put that on your main domain /blog or a unique blog, which is yourblog.com, doesn't really matter. It kind of depends on how skilled you are, how much energy you have, and whether or not you want to create a separate domain for extra page rank, or that's just easier for you to use the inbuilt blog. For example, if you're on Drupal, Drupal has a blog system that goes with the main Drupal technology. You might just do drupal.com/yourblog. So it really depends on too many things to answer clearly, but I wanted to address those questions straight out of the gate because I know they come up for people. Main thing here is to know the difference between daily broadcasting on a blog post and creating a website silo architecture with perma content or evergreen content that generally should last a year or greater, okay, with minor adjustments. And the time it takes to write an article like that is going to be very likely 30 minutes or more, okay, even by an expert. Okay, phase 6 then, once you get all that done, is you properly set up your one feed RSS system for mass syndication. We've got a course that's available to everybody who's a member called One Feed to Rule Them All. It's our RSS marketing course. We also have a done for you system called doneforyou.onefeedtorulethemal.com where we will take that on for you. Okay, so before you start implementing some of the dangerously powerful techniques I'm going to show you today, you need to complete the One Feed RSS course, and you definitely need to have that blog. Remember we were talking about the broadcasting blog? Okay, not so much the silo page, but the broadcasting blog. You need to have the RSS correctly set up so that you leverage your efforts. Yeah, if you have your main site in a blog as well, you should still set up that RSS feed as well. Okay, even though those articles are going to go out only once, it's still a good thing to have an RSS feed on there because it's just a little extra reach. But the main thing you want to make really sure that your RSS feed is active and working is on your weekly, daily, monthly blog broadcasting platform. Okay, it's what we call vlogging, plugging, and vlogging, plugging, and blogging. We'll show you here in a second. Phase 7 is then you start broadcasting your blog, your plug, or your vlog. Does anybody know what a plug is? Yes, a plug is a podcasting blog. A vlog is a video blog. Okay, phase 7 is start broadcasting. If you start broadcasting on the blog, wherever you decided to put it, your blog role, you could use the 5 iframe punch, or you could use the Network Empire done for you blog boost subscription. Again, you could use the 5 iframe punch, which I'm going to show you at the end of this presentation. I've never given that away before. But I want you to see it and decide which parts of it are useful for you. Or you could use any of the traditional means that you've used to get reach on your blog. Okay, Network Empire done for you blog boost subscription is one thing that you can use. Okay, we do offer that anywhere. We can syndicate a blog once a week if you have one going out, or we could do it once every day. We'd have different agency price points for that. Okay, now we're going to talk about the software that we use to accomplish all this. I'm going to talk about all this. In this case, I'm talking about video website silo architecture, but really is any kind of silo architecture, specifically the technical aspects of how to create the perfect internal linking structure on your site to rank higher for far fewer inbound links than your competition, but rank for thousands of more keywords than they do. Okay, this used to be a real pain manually, costing thousands of dollars. It's become quite easy when you know just a little bit of training. When you have just a little bit of training, you'll be able to leverage the kind of results that your competition would only dream about because it's quite technical for people who don't have a software helping them. Okay, all right. So phase 2 and 3, this is where we talked. Remember we talked about phase 2 and 3. Which is theme research, keyword research, very preferably using a natural language processing tool that thinks like a human, knows how human beings think to overlap market interests so that you don't just do linear keyword research and then you can import them on phase 3 into Domain Web Studio to lay out the perfect money tree. It's really the perfect website silo architecture system. Make sure you have the right keywords with, that are the most profitable. They've been proven profitable based on ad spend, and you're able to literally create this great infrastructure and then output a site really quickly with those numbers, with those profitable words. And what we use for that is Domain Web Studio. So now I'm going to insert Sue here, where she's going to go over the Domain Web Studio Lite Mini-Me, and you'll get kind of an idea of what that software is. And you do have, on the Lite version, even in the $49 package on the networkempire.com members area, you have access to one website in the Mini-Me, and you also have access to Painfinder, which we'll go over here shortly. So with no further ado, I'll just let Sue jump in here and explain Domain Web Studio Lite.
All right, thanks. And let me get my screen set up.
I guess you weren't ready for that, were you?
It was
surprising.
It's a little fast.
See, you always get excited about all these questions coming on the webinars.
All right. So, do you want me to just run through the whole thing, or is there some particular aspect of it you want to show?
We should keep it short and sweet, but I wanted to hear all the things, what people wanting to hear is what you're excited about, and then close with a distinction between this and the Pro version.
Okay.
Which is what you get at the $147 level, unlimited, and other things.
Exactly. So let me just go into the one that I was creating for our last webinar. And I think that the thing that, there's so many things about this that I love.
Don't get you started.
This is hard. This is hard. So one of the things that I really like is we've put a lot of work into making the steps a lot more obvious and a lot more granular. So this is just kind of like, it walks you through from beginning to end everything that you got to do for your site. So obviously, as soon as you create your site, the first thing you have to do is import your keywords. And then you come over here, once your keywords are imported, they all show up here on your keyword decision screen. And it's pretty quick to just map out your site. In just a few clicks, you can say, hey, I want this, this, and this, and I want them to all be silos. And that's probably not the best idea because it's got a filter in it, so let me just go like this for a second.
Okay.
But yeah, so good. So I can just go click, 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 and I want to add 3 silos to my site. Your most the most beneficial keywords, the keywords that you're going to make the most money out of, are going to float to the top. And so the idea is you've already done a little bit of research in Painfinder, you know where the pains are in the marketplace, and so you come in here and you're like, okay, these are all keywords that are associated with the pains that my product or service addresses, and so you can just go down the list and start at the top, pick the best ones, and go, okay, that's what I want, move it to my blueprint. Your blueprint maps out so fast and easy in this version, it's just insane. And then once you've got your blueprint mapped out, you come over here to design my site. No, I think we're already on design my site. Sorry, not quite enough coffee. We come here to markup publishing.
Haven't had any coffee today.
I haven't had any coffee today. This is a test. I'm off of coffee. Beware.
Oh my goodness.
So you come over here and you say, okay, hey, I want to put my whole website up right now. You click the whole thing. You approve it for publishing, and now everything, the entire structure that you've created, you can see it's all got the little worlds here. The entire structure is ready to be exported, and you can come over here to build my website. We talk you through all the things that you need to think about. You can grab your plugin right here. There's a couple of videos, and then once you've installed your plugin, you come here to export. We've got another video that shows you exactly how to use the XML and import your data into your blog, and boom, Bob's your uncle. You can literally, on the webinar on Wednesday, I built the site in 30 minutes, and I did it while I was talking. If I'd been thinking instead of talking, it probably still would have taken me 30 minutes, but it's down from, like, I don't know, a week or something stupid that it used to be. So it's incredible. And I don't mean a week with Domain Web Studio Pro. I'm talking a week back in the early days with Kraken when you run through the blueprints over there. So so the other thing on this version that I really, really like are these icons up here. This is the inline help. It's going to, like if we come back here to import your keywords, it's context-sensitive help. So it tells you exactly what you need to do with videos and everything on the inline help, and then you've got a little checklist that walks you through. This is the step that you need to do on this particular screen, and then that right there, it always shows you your blueprint. This is my favorite screen out of all of Domain Web Studio because I've got a bird's eye view of what my blueprint is. I've got my silos over here, the categories, the supporting articles. So these are all keywords that I chose. These are the primary terms that I've chosen for each page. Each line represents a page. And so this is the primary keyword. And then over here I've got all my supporting keywords and synonyms that you can also add on the keyword decision screen. And then I've got what the value is going to be. This is my revenue per month. And so I can see in a heartbeat how much I'm going to be making. You can also see that here. There's a little view blueprint cost analysis. There's the screen takes a little bit of time to paint because it's doing a whole bunch of calculations. Our other programmer took a look at it and he's like, what are you trying to do? Calculate the entire debt of the Russian government? So
What?
It's a great screen because it looks at all the finances from your blueprint from every single direction. And the thing that is really cool about this that I was telling Russ the other day, the reason why we built this whole aspect of Domain Web Studio was because I was doing cost forecasting for a really big client. And they were looking at two radically different business models. One was they were going to vet and place nurses, and the other one was they were going to do affiliate marketing. And the person that I was working with, he was like, Sue, could you tell me like how much money we're looking at making and going down either one of these paths? And I'm thinking to myself, vetting and placing the nurses, like it make an incredible amount of money, something like $750 they were netting off of each nurse that they placed. I'm like, how can you even think about stacking that up next to affiliate sales? Well, it turned out the affiliate sales were actually like 10, 20, 30-fold more money, estimated anyway, than it was going down the vetted nurses path. And that was so counterintuitive to me that I was like, Matt, we have to get this so that you can see this information inside of Domain Web Studio. So, all right, that's what makes me excited about Domain Web Studio. So now let me show you some of the differences between this and Pro. I don't actually have Pro up yet, so let me go log in. Now, Pro, as the name kind of implies.
Who do you recommend?
Uh-huh.
Who's the type of person? Who's the type of person that uses Pro, Sue? The Unlimited and Pro.
The idea behind Pro, the kind of person who would use it is if you're going to take this more than just a single site. So, like, let me come back here for a second. So what this does is the one-site license gives you the ability to put in just one empire and one site and one empire, and you can run through that. Which is, if you're trying to do this comparison thing, like what I just talked about with the nurses, you're going to be hard pressed to do it. You're going to have to put in all your data. You're going to have to delete all your data, put it all in again, and then save it off in between times so you can compare the two. So if you're doing a lot of sites, or if you're doing comparison marketing or that kind of thing, then I would say go with the unlimited version. If all you want to do is basically get together a blueprint and give it to people, or put it up yourself, or if you're a small business, you've got one website that you're focused on, then the Lite is perfect for you. If you've got one site that you're focused on, if you're a small business, then the single site Lite is absolutely perfect for you. If you're doing multiple sites and you want to compare your sites, then I would go with the unlimited package. And Pro, the thing with Pro is it takes you beyond just getting your website up. You've got team management. You've got the ability to be able to put your content into Domain Web Studio, and one of the most amazing things that it'll do for you is create an entire promotional blueprint for you. So, and then you can manage your team to actually go and do all the promotional stuff. So I have to admit, when I was before Domain Web Studio, when I had big clients, this was the part that I would pull my hair out. First of all, there's creating and keeping track of all the third-party platforms, but even worse than that was, just trying to find this link that I want, up here. Even worse than that was trying to to determine which keywords I was going to promote for the next 6 months, because they always had a budget. So let's say that their budget's like $10,000, and you want to figure out which keywords you're going to promote and how you're going to promote them on which platforms and do what over the course of the next, oh, I picked a blueprint that doesn't have any keywords in the promotional side. That's a shame. Anyway, what this will do is this will show you exactly how much money it's going to cost you for your keywords. You can come up here and you can turn keywords on and off, and you can fiddle around with it until these charts meet your clients or your own requirements for what your budget is. And then you can hit a button and say finalize it, and it'll go and create all of the tasks for the next 6 to 12 months, depends on how long it's going to take to rank for the keywords. It's going to create those tasks from beginning to end, and it's going to tell you blow by blow, week by week, exactly what you have to do for exactly which keyword on exactly which platform. And the best part, you can assign it all to other people. So you get your team going on, and you click all of the videos, you assign it to your video person, you click all of the blogs, you assign it to your writers, you click all of the promotional platforms like all of the citation sites, and you assign it to your SEO guys, and you sit back and relax. You have a margarita, you've done your hard work, you assigned tasks to everybody. And then
all right, Sue, we just got to slow you down a little bit. Can you go to the promotional blueprint? There's a lot of questions coming in. They don't know what you mean by third-party platforms. So can you explain what you mean by promote?
Yes.
What kind of third-party platforms it manages in the Pro version? Because this is not in the Lite version.
That's
so
true.
But it's a distinction, and people are asking.
Let me find a better site that I can.
Sorry that we don't have any data on that one, because it's really cool when the data's there.
Let me find one that's actually got data. This is a better
we don't want to demo anything with no data.
What?
What? We actually hadn't planned on getting into DWS Pro at all, but we had so many questions coming in, so we didn't really prepare to get into it too much.
All right, so let me just see if this is going to paint a prettier picture.
Okay, let me see if I can answer some of these questions while it's painting. Yeah, so Sandra will cover that. Yes, team management is Pro, Sandra.
It still doesn't want to paint.
Yes, and you have the correct price point.
All right.
Thanks, Bob, for that typo. I will fix that. I always reward people for typos. There's nothing worse than spelling that wrong. Okay. Changing it now.
Okay, so this is the promotional platform screen, and we break this down into different kinds of promotional platforms. As you see, we've got quite a few. These are the ones that we've vetted. So these are the ones they've got a reasonable page rank. You can see the page rank in this column over here. And then you can see what kind of a platform it is. And you can go right here and sign up for it if you want to, or you can assign it all out. There's promotions, which are like, well, obviously, press release, blog articles. This is where you want to promote your content on other third-party platforms and drag people back to your site. There's conversations, which are like groups and, these places where you're going to have a network of people and you're going to talk to them and you're going to participate in conversations. So that's why it's called conversational. Then you've got branded or local. In other words, these are citation type sites where you're going to go and talk about your website. Like it's just a little blurb typically that you put up with a link back to your site. And then there's media, which is like video stuff. So those are the 4 different kinds of things. And obviously the branded stuff, like this only happens once. You have somebody set those things up once and it's done. But the other things are ongoing, the other 3 flavors.
Yep. Here's a great question. I'm going to reverse back to the Lite version. This is a distinction issue.
Okay.
If I get the one site license on Lite, when I do a site and move to the second site, will I typically need any of the data from the one site that I had to delete to the second site? And I just wanted to add to him that some people do use, in fact, quite a few agencies use all this data ongoing as an archive for benchmarks. So if you don't have a problem with that, you don't mind blowing all the data away, and you just do it over again, then you can. For beginners, it's totally fine. Then you just import another site. But if people are serious about multiple data archiving and the rest, we recommend the unlimited version.
Let me give you the other caveat. If you want to add pages later, then you can't. I mean, because the
Mhm.
way that the plugin works is it knows, it uses an internal number inside of Domain Web Studio to know what your page layout is like. And so you've got all your pages, you want to add more pages. When you go to upload it, it's like, oh yeah, this is a child page of this. Or it's like, oh, we don't have the silo
Yeah,
anywhere, so
exactly.
we'll add it on the side.
Exactly.
So,
And I also wanted to point out to everyone too, like, just an inside scoop of why we decided to do this is I wanted to make sure that everybody, including beginners, had the way to afford this.
exactly.
And we figured that if you got your first site up and running and are making a ton of money, especially if you start doing the blog boosting crazy stuff that I'm not supposed to show you, but I am, that kind of stuff, you're going to make money if you've got a buy button that is not completely stupid, meaning you're making, some low margin and you're competing with everybody in the universe. If you follow our basic steps in the niche domination course, you can carry a product and make money, and if you're good about it, one site will start getting you profitable, and then you could upgrade to. So this is why we wanted the light version, is so that you could get rolling at an affordable cost. Blowing away the data I wouldn't do until the site is profitable, unless you're milling out sites and flipping them on Flippa or something like that, because I know there are a couple people I recognize here who are good flippers, and that's great. So that hopefully should answer that question. All right.
So,
So we need to keep progressing forward. So.
okay, so let me just clarify this thing that Sandra said, that you can't add a silo later with the light version. You can add it, you just can't add it if you've deleted the site. And that goes for any of them. If you delete the site, even in the pro version, then it's, you'd have to add an entire silo. I'll take that back. You can add an entire silo, but you can't add on, you can't add on other pages underneath existing silos.
So Stu, let me ask you to make sure that I'm clear, because we have a lot of these questions coming in. The distinction is, if I leave my data in DWS, I can continue to grow the site.
Right.
So it's like if you keep the plant where it is, you can keep growing it.
Right.
But if you uproot it, not so much.
Right.
Okay, that's all we need to know. Let's move on to the next thing.
Okay.
Because I have a lot more presentation.
I understand.
Are there any other? Okay, you guys, there's a lot of questions here. Thanks, Bob. Got that. Okay. We add pages over time. If you upgrade, can you import the one site already in Light? Stu, that's a great question that Bob has. If he decides to upgrade later on, does the data transfer, or does he have to start over? Excellent.
Matt had a brilliant idea. He's like, let's keep it all in the same database, and that way it upgrades and downgrades as you move back and forth. And so, yes, all of your data will follow you.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Thank you so much, Sue. There's a lot more questions coming in, but please be advised that Sue and Matt and myself are going to be giving full-on webinars on a regular basis with this stuff.
Yes.
And also do be advised that if you go to networkempire.com/members-area, we'll toss that link out to you guys, that there's some great webinars that show how all this stuff works. And we have brand new ones coming because the software is evolving so quickly and so powerfully that we need to keep them updated.
Also, the emphasis here is that just because I often will use the word WordPress SEO silo architecture does not mean you're limited to that. In fact, for agencies, we do have HTML output, we have XML output, and we have a lot of surprises coming, including our own platform that I'm actually using it right now and have been for years. We had a custom designed HTML platform, and that'll be coming. I'm very excited about that. So things like Joomla, we're working on Drupal, direct import. You're going to have all kinds of options other than WordPress in case you don't like WordPress. All right. Phase 4 and 5. 4 and 5 is Painfinder and the perpetual lead magnet stackable system. Okay, so 4 and 5, as you probably remember, once you have your silo architecture, it's time to add content, video and article content. We also talk about this in the perpetual lead magnet machine as ADNA and VDNA. That's article stuff and video stuff tied to your product or service. So, and then phase 5 is make sure that you have a broadcasting platform as well as your website, silo architecture, HTML, transaction site, your money site. Okay, so Painfinder is pretty cool. It's a software that comes with your membership subscription. Let me just log in here real quick. Oh, I'm already logged in. Okay, and what you do is you drill into one keyword at a time in this current version. And let me just give you an idea. One client I have has a card trick that's actually doing quite well. And let's see. Remember, I've already gone from Kraken, and I got a bunch of keywords to drill into. But in Painfinder, I drilled into both magic and magic card tricks. Let me just go ahead. Card tricks, actually. And magic card tricks is actually a different one. So the reason I drilled into magic is because Kraken, I drilled into magic in Kraken, and I always like to do the vertical. Part of the reason I do that in Painfinder is I want to see other questions that might not be related to products and services and skills that my client has, but I like to see what's out there. I like to look for pulsims, like things that I might have to watch for. How does Darren Brown do those tricks? In fact, when we started drilling into this, we realized that there's a lot of questions in Quora about specific magicians, both stage and street, who have tricks that nobody's figured out. And you're not supposed to give up the tricks of the trade. The etiquette is poor for a lot of different reasons, but people are trading those ideas. They want to know. And that is very painful. Not knowing how magic trick works for some people, especially up-and-coming magicians, is a real pain. So although very few people are giving answers on Quora, what we can do is we can determine where the pain is in the market, and we can, on our blog broadcasting, that's our daily, weekly, or monthly posts, we might cover an article. So my client, who's an expert, a card trick expert, he might actually show, give a hint as to where a particular famous magician like Darren Brown actually does a trick. Or he might keep it interesting and incomplete. If Darren Brown's doing a trick, he might keep it interesting and complete and not tell anybody at all how it works, but force them to buy the card trick. For example, there's a couple tricks that Darren Brown does with cards that my client sells that card deck. And this is actually really interesting. I'll go ahead and show you. It wasn't just magic. Let me go back and let's go up to projects. And if we go down into magic card tricks, I think it's magic card tricks. Oh, actually, it was magic tricks. What is the secret to the trick that Justin Willman performed on the Ellen Show? Well, what we found out here, somebody had given an answer, and I want to show you something. While we're here, I just want to do a quick aside, and because it really speaks to what I teach you in the Quora Inception course. You can see that there's a video in here, right? Well, we checked this out. The video that's actually linked here is not the video from this person's own channel. Okay? That is a mistake in so many ways. But again, you'll find most people out there don't know the things that we're showing you, and they're not going to use this. If this was his own video, he would be getting traffic to this video every time. So, I mean, I watched it at least twice trying to give this to my client. It would have been his traffic, increasing his page rank and his visitor view. In fact, I actually clicked through to the video and went to YouTube, which means I would have been on his channel. Okay? He would have gotten the ad revenue or whatever else he's doing, preferably not, getting ad revenue on WR1 channel, but you get the idea. So this is why you always want to put your own video channel and your own YouTube video on this, because Quora gives you the ability to add video. All you have to do is drop the YouTube link in, but drop your own YouTube link in, okay? Just like we've always taught. But we actually found out that, my client deals in magic tricks. We actually found out that the trick on this show on Ellen is for sale. It's quite expensive, okay? I think it was something like here it is, $3,000, right? But my client has access to mostly card tricks, but this is something he would consider carrying in his shop. And he made a call and found out it's a Dick Zimmerman system and all this and that. Of course, you're going to get the solution to the magic trick for $3,000 essentially. You're going to find out exactly how this person did it, which is the solution to that pain. When I say the solution to the pain, you might say, oh, magic is not a pain. Yes, it is. Just remember the way we teach our certification students or anyone else, any question is a pain. Okay? Any question is a pain. When the question has been asked from the perspective of the brain, I'm talking neuroscience here, an unanswered question gives you a little bit of a pain, and dopamine, you want that dopamine fix to get it closed. That's what we mean by pain. It's probably more of a pleasure to find out with magic than it is a pain of like a toothache or cancer or Lyme disease or those types of things where those are real pain. But you can still consider unanswered questions when you can't figure something out. It can become painful past a certain point. All right, so that's kind of what we mean. Hopefully you get the metaphor there. So if something's been viewed 4,100 times, and there's only 4 answers, this is perfect for my client to answer a question in a blog post. We're talking a blog broadcast, and send a link to his store, or drive people via his golden frame to his other paid websites. Now, if a question is really, really, really related to a product that he has, like his particular card trick, you could look at something like, what are the most amazing mind reading tricks of all time? Here it is. This is really appropriate because he's invented a card trick, right? So what is an easy to learn yet impressive magic card trick? 1,000 times. There's no reason that he can't go in there as one of the answers and answer that question. But more importantly, since we're still building your website silo architecture stuff, like let's say you're still working on your articles and your articles that are evergreen, he would probably want to create a great video and a great article, meaning 1,000 words at least or more, with quite a bit of time spent, more than 30 minutes. This is not a story. This is not a curation. This is not an idea flip. This is decent content with decent time using his expertise to drive people to a sale, okay? But by giving them information that's interesting and incomplete about a card trick, all right? So hopefully that makes sense to you, and specifically his. So what is an easy to learn yet impressive magic trick? So he knows that easy to learn is important from the perspective of this question. 1,000 people agree with that, okay? And so he's going to talk about easy to learn card trick. He's going to use words like impressive in his article. And it might even be an article, a supporting article for his card trick, okay, on the silo landing page of the site. So this is how you build interesting and compelling permanent evergreen content, as well as find out interesting industry story and news topics. Okay, for example, the Ellen Show. This might not be evergreen. This trick might get exposed. The industry might move on. Sometimes they change. All right, so this is what we're looking at. You got to understand whether you're building it for your permanent articles or for your industry news or your temporary articles or your regular blog posts. Okay, here's another one. How does the burgless effect magic card trick work? This is something that he could cover as a blog post or as permanent content if he wanted to. If he was selling this trick, which I believe he is, it's important that he talk about the trick on a permanent page, either as a supporting article in the silo, burgless magic card trick if he has one. If he's selling it, there's nothing wrong with having a silo landing page about that trick, because then the supporting articles about this trick, if he has more than one article to write about this effect, can be underneath it, shouting about this landing page and giving him extra boosted ranking with the silo landing page. Okay, you could actually drill into the burgless effect in Quora or on Painfinder, and if he doesn't find anything here, he could start looking in other places. He could drill into it in TOKT and find other supporting articles that he might have with us. Really fun, really, really useful stuff. Okay. That's a little bit of a tiny sneak peek about the Painfinder system that I use every day to get traffic at 15 minutes from now. Literally, let me just go back here so they can close this concept a little bit better. If you do Painfinder correctly with a video and an expert answer, I have traffic, high qualified traffic to my sites within minutes sometimes after it's published. Because what happens is when you publish that answer, it goes out to everybody who's following that question. So Quora is not only a great place to find content that can be unique to you, it is also good to post so that you can drive traffic. Because again, if we look at this particular thing, let's go back into Magic again. Every time you post or update, depending upon the settings, okay, the followers didn't come back in this one, but we're actually bringing back the followers mechanism. Let me see if I can find with a lot of followers. Let's go ahead and look at Lyme disease. You can see that there's 4, 8. All of these questions have followers, and they will be notified almost always, and some of them do turn that setting off. But if you've got a question or a topic or a category that's got 500 followers, and some of them do, especially in the tech business, all of them will be notified generally, or at least see it in the feed when it comes up. You can promote your question to even more people if you've earned enough Quora support. Okay, and we'll talk more about that in the actual Painfinder Empire course. Excellent. So now we can go back to what it is we were doing before. Okay, so let's talk about phase 6, Google Plus RSS and the one feed system. Remember how we talked about it's really important before you start broadcasting daily, weekly, or monthly on your blog part of your empire, on your broadcasting kind of transponder, which is your blog role, that you would want to have your RSS feed set up. Well, we give you RSS, we give you the G Plus RSS maker to do that. Okay, you just go in and let me just show you the dashboard. Go and look at projects rather. You can see that I have some Google Plus RSS feeds. What this is designed to do is turn your Google Plus status update into an RSS feed. Google does not want you to have an RSS feed, otherwise they would have given us one by now. There's a whole lot of reasons why they don't, and I don't see it coming anytime soon. This is why we built this for you. The reason is that you want to take an RSS feed and syndicate it using the same one feed system, because what happens is you get ranked, your Google Plus microblog will get ranked, especially if it gets borrowed or stolen through the syndication networks. If you run it through RSS submit, we teach you how to do all this with an RSS feed. You know, really, really nice. Let me just give you an example of what the feeds look like. So here's an example of one of the feeds that was created for Cancer Factor Fiction. This is actually not a money site. It's a blog traffic generator, a video blog traffic generator. But you can see that it turns the Google Plus feed. Let me just click on the actual article. Here's an article that was published yesterday. Here's a Google Plus post that was updated yesterday at 11:30 a.m. Okay, and that's kind of cool. Now what happens is you're going to want to take this feed and run it through all of your tools like RSS submit and all of the other steps that we carefully give you in the Google Plus the one feed to rule them all course. And you have to be a paid member to access that. But right now, this is the only software on the market that will turn your Google Plus feed, your Google Plus status update into an RSS feed. When I'm talking about your Google Plus status update, let's go back to this outsourced person's OnePlus. Okay, you can see that Google Plus is quickly moving to a Pinterest style layout, like I told you that they would a year ago. They have to, because this is the most psychologically impactful. But you can see here is the person who runs Cancer Factor Fiction. And these are all posts that are coming to the blog. Okay? And I'm running these, these are posts that are coming from the blog automatically. And I have to show you how to do that in a separate thing. It's way beyond the scope of this webinar. But once it gets into Google Plus automatically, I then syndicate it automatically out to all the RSS networks. And that gives you a little extra boost. Sometimes you can see these things appearing on the search engines depending upon how many times they're +1, and so on and so forth. This is not that great of an example, but what happens on the search engine with Google Plus is if you type some of the keywords in going out through Google Plus feed, you'll see, let me just make sure you guys can see this. It gives you some extra traffic. You can see here's that Google Plus feed that I just had made, okay, at the top for a keyword, but here's the actual site. So you can see here, I'm actually, I'm also ranked here. And this is somebody else, I believe. Yes, that's a different Google Plus person. But you can see that Google Plus gets ranked for certain kinds of keywords, and you might as well accept that traffic. Because if I click on that, I'm just going to end up on Mary's Google Cancer Factor Fiction Google Plus feed that's automatically posting blog posts from the Cancer Factor Fiction site. And you can see in some cases, the Google Plus will outrank the actual site that the plus is coming from here. So literally, the Google Plus post will outrank the actual website itself from which the content is auto-posting. Now, we're not showing how to auto-post in this webinar. There's a lot of stuff to know, but just know that it gets really fun and really cool. And what's cool about that is I also wonder, because I've done RSS syndication, if part of the reason Google Plus is, beside the fact that it's more active, part of the reason that Google Plus might be outranking the actual site in this case is because of the RSS one feed to rule them all system that I used as part of this process. Okay, hopefully that makes some sense, and we'll get into it more. We get into it a lot more in the Google Plus course, but we're going to get into it a huge amount in the upcoming 7 iframe punch course and more courses to come. Okay, just want to give you a brief overview. And again, all of this is done in the Google Plus one feed to rule them all. Here is the RSS feed that I made for her that we just looked at on the actual search engines. Okay, and if you take our course, we also get into the plus ones as well. We can actually turn your regular manual plus ones, which I use, my bookmarklet is how I use that. Here's my Google Plus one. Every time I plus something anywhere on the web, it's automatically added to my feed on my Google Plus account. So if Mary were to use it, every time she manually clicked +1 to do a manual plus curation, it's going to turn it into an RSS feed. That means if you start plussing your own stuff, you're generating your own feed. And then if that feed is going out to the RSS syndication systems, those are automatically getting some extra juice and some extra syndication to the feed networks. Okay, so that's kind of fun. You can do it manually, you can do it automatically, and many other ways, and we'll show you how all of that stuff works. Just a quick interlude, a reminder that we do have a one feed to rule them all course. I tend to get a little bit distracted because I love to teach RSS stuff, and I love to teach automatic social RSS and then automatic bot RSS. And the biggest confusion people have is when to use RSS for people and when to use RSS for machines. And the answer to that question is yes. You should use them both simultaneously. You should provide the best kind of content on your RSS feed that you can, which is why I always use open graph and video when I'm syndicating to social networks. At least have a picture with it, because then people actually click on it, and then Google sees that as traffic, especially if you're using Google Analytics, they just see traffic coming to your RSS feed. I gave you a great video to help you check to determine whether or not you're getting RSS traffic to your Google Analytics account. When Google sees real traffic coming off a social network via your RSS feed, everything really looks nice and legit for them, and they give you more traffic. And your feed helps extend traffic to places like Google Plus and to your video RSS feeds. Did you know that YouTube, for example, has an RSS feed? You should be syndicating that. Every one of these types of social feeds should be using the one feed to rule them all system to syndicate out to the web. Okay, great. So then there's the done for you one feed to rule them all as well. Again, just a reminder, we can do it for you. You have special membership prices if you are a paid member. If you're not a paid member and just watching this video on the web, I urge you to join to get those discounts. If you don't want to join, you can still purchase the retail price. Okay. Now we're going to get into the bonus, the iframe punch. The 5 iframe punch. Again, I'm going to preface this entire thing with a reminder that you do not use these embeddable iframe techniques on content that you've spent more than 30 minutes on, that's answering an important question, that's a silo landing page. You want to use your own WYSIWYG editors, you want to use your own HTML, and make sure that the content is sitting on your service, not a service like Storify or Scoop.it. Okay? So be really careful when you have evergreen content. You're not going to use all of these frame methods, especially not necessarily frame 4, which is embedding a Storify story in your WordPress account. You don't really want to do that for evergreen content, and you certainly do not want to do it for your permanent evergreen silo landing pages that you've drawn out of DWS for your main WR1 transaction site or your money site. You want your own content. Don't embed, skip frame 4 in this if you're writing evergreen content. Skip frame 4 if you're writing content that's expert and you've spent more than 30 minutes on it. Okay? So use that at your own risk. But we're going to get into the details of what I mean there. I just want to preface that because I have confused people with this. Do not embed iframes into pages that are permanent pages, and don't embed iframes into blog posts when you've got a lot of content. Don't give Storify that ranking. Let Storify do the work for you. And where Storify really comes in powerfully well is when you have something short and sweet, you have 10 minutes or less to flip a story and drive traffic back to your site. Think short, think non-evergreen, think your blog role, and you might even reserve just a single category called dog grooming news for this type of thing. You don't have to do it on every category, all right? We'll talk about this in the over-the-shoulder course, which I'm working on at this time and will be done in just a few days. If you're listening to this in June, the course is done. All right. So here's a complete overview of the system and the demo coming soon in the members area, meaning the over-the-shoulder videos coming soon. And it probably is already there if this is June 1st, if it's past June 1st, 2013. Okay. So frame one is YouTube. What you want to do is you want to make a video. Okay, and what makes this 5 and 6 iframe punch? We call it 6 iframe if you include the bonus. It's really, you really should only use all these methods if you have a video, which is your cherry on top. Okay, a video can be used with screencast. You can use screen capture. You don't have to be standing in front of a camera. Sometimes you don't have time to do that. Just do a Snagit, just do a Jing, just do a Camtasia, where you're giving interesting information about something, or maybe answering a quick question. If the content is evergreen and you're answering a Quora question that you would like to include in this method, don't create a very long written answer. If you have a quick video, then you can use this as non-evergreen content. And later on, you can turn what you're doing, the story, into a long article. But the bottom line is to get information out to people quickly. Okay? So for example, you might consider a non-evergreen Quora answer to be something that you've only done a video for and have not had time to write a 700 to 1,000 word article on, and you plan to come back to it later. All right, that can still be considered non-evergreen because it's a temp placeholder that's going to drive lots of traffic to a silo on your other site that you might already have content on. Okay, so you can give a quick answer that specifically addresses a Quora question, or if you have the answer previously provided, you can use that answer in your Storify, which we'll show you shortly. You can add it as an element to the story and create a fresh, non-evergreen industry news spin on the answer that you've already got, which will lead all the visitors to Storify to a unique article once they get on Storify. And we're going to show you how all this works in the over-the-shoulder videos, but start with a video, and we'll get into everything we're talking about. Create a YouTube video by pulling out an answer. One way is like looking at questions on Storify. I'm sorry, looking at questions on Painfinder. Go back to the Painfinder application, and you can find plenty of things to talk about. And if you've got an answer, you can turn that answer into a story. Okay, if you have an article. So make a video on it with a screen grab, or maybe a talking head, or maybe a triple P. That's the picture in picture in picture that we talk about in the video website site architecture course. And I put a little note here that YouTube has an RSS feed, so you're going to want to set that up and run that through the one feed system, which you hopefully have already learned. If not, go back and take that course. That's frame one. When I say frame, I'm talking about the code that's used in YouTube. Let me see if I can go over there. You can see, for example, that you can just click share and you click embed. This is an iframe. And when you take that and you put it in your blog, this video is going to appear here. For advanced members, I know that this is really basic stuff to you, but I'm surprised at how many people don't know what an iframe is. The iframe is the technology used to embed a window within a window within a window. Okay, and we're actually embedding several within each other. And remember that YouTube has its own unique type of traffic. Okay, so YouTube has its own unique traffic stream. This is why I say it's got its own unique traffic stream. But you're going to take that video, even though you're going to get traffic to that video, and if you put a link to your website in that description, you're going to get traffic to that as well. So YouTube's your first frame with your first unique traffic stream. The second frame is going to be your Quora. This is optional. Just please do keep in mind that you can skip any one of these frames. I'm just giving you the possibility for stacking. Okay? You can take that video if you pulled this story or this question. If you're curating this question from Painfinder, then just drop that video right into the Quora as an answer with your Quora ID. I teach you how to do this in the Painfinder Empire course already, and we're updating that to match the new Painfinder software. And so again, that's another unique traffic stream. Drop your video in there. Technically, the reason I call this the 6 iframe punch for video is that even if you didn't type anything ever, you could still do this stackable system. This is why I'm presenting it to you as part of the video website site architecture course. I'm giving you 5, actually 6 with a bonus, unique types of traffic stream, unique types of traffic from unique streams. that wouldn't even require any typing on your part, and that nobody's doing because it's not an automatable thing. Okay, that's why you want to do it very specifically for your WR1 branding. Okay, so you can drop that video in there, and I'm going to be showing you how to, put some written or typewritten content as well right underneath it, and then put a link back to the site that you might have that's got it in there. You can even come back later on any of these frames and add the URL to your destination site or your ground zero, which is preferably your silo landing page or the original story that you're going to embed this in. Okay, those are advanced techniques, and we'll show you them in the course, of course. So frame 3 is going to be the story flipping and micro element collection with Storify. Storify is one of my favorite mechanisms. Now, you're only going to use Storify alone and not this upcoming step, frame 4, if you do not have the paid version. If you have the free version, then the only thing you're going to be doing is right here. You're going to be using Storify as a unique type of traffic. Drop your video inside Storify and add some content and start collecting some elements. There's so many things to do with Storify that it goes well beyond the scope of this webinar. So I can't really get into it too much as to say that I'm going to give you an over-the-shoulder. This is all part of the over-the-shoulder course that is not yet ready, and that's why we call it a bonus, okay? Because I'm giving you the information on how it works. Storify side note, I really want to say that, think micro press release curation when it comes to Storify. Press releases are changing, and Storify represents the first of many platforms that are going to come out that's doing what we call micro element curation and aggregation. Okay, this is Mark Hardy's discussion on PR 3.0 Game Changer. About, I got to tell you that PR companies and PR folks are kind of freaked out right now because PR ain't what it used to be online. And a lot of the things that I'm going to be showing you inside the members area take PR to a new level. We call this micro press release curation. All right, we'll be getting more and more into that. Just want to give you a heads up on that because you're really getting close to knowing that with this quadruple iframe punch system. The next step after you finish the Storify element is optional. I want to emphasize this here. This is optional, and you'll see in the over-the-shoulder course, video course, when it's done, how optional it actually is. You do not want to do this, probably at all. And if you do it, you only want to do it in one category or some obscure area. If you do not have the Storify Pro version. I am not selling Storify. There is not an affiliate program. Just letting you know that it's not cheap to do frame 4 effectively with SEO. Okay, so if you have the Pro version of Storify, you can actually embed the non-evergreen story into your blog. And again, I'm talking about your blog, broadcasting blog, not your video website silo architecture. Okay, not your primary permanent articles that you've written that you're driving traffic to, not to the transaction page, but your blog broadcast, your weekly, monthly, or daily updates. Okay, I have a lot of luck with this because remember, these updates, when you have Storify Pro, can be embedded right in your blog, or you can copy and paste the story from Storify and directly into WYSIWYG editor if you don't want to embed the iframe. Okay. But if I have a story, I get so fast. Storify saves me so much time in pulling together elements of a story and creating a simple call to action. And also the Storify brand, because it's newsy, gives people the impression that it's a newsworthy story. And the better you get at creating newsworthy headlines, you get a lot of stuff happening. And I get a lot of traffic from my Storify embedded articles to my golden frame because we're inside the golden frame. When I'm talking about the golden frame, which I will in the over-the-shoulder video course, I'm talking about, on our wiki, talk about anything. If you own the frame, you can put your own banners and ads. Okay, the golden frame has to do with the surrounding environment. Okay, so even if you're using a Storify story, let's say you embed a Storify story in this blog post, let's say this is actually a Storify iframe, you still control the advertising space and it's still your domain, okay? Still driving traffic to your domain. It's just that the story is hosted on Storify in the form of an iframe. And if it's an SEO-friendly Storify story, you're going to get all the keyword and original content, the original source SEO credit for it, Okay, it's very powerful when you have the pro version. If you do not have the pro version, you probably want to just put your own content in the WordPress blog. I'll leave that up to you. I also only recommend using Storify, regardless of SEO, when it's non-evergreen content, okay, which means it's going to disappear soon. It's not your permanent content. Frame 5 is going to be Scoop It, where you take that blog post, which has the, remember, it's kind of hard. It's like we're stacking frames here. When you scoop the blog post, which has the Storify story embedded in it from another frame, you've also scooped the video and the story that was inside Storify. That's the 5th frame. You've literally stacked a frame within a frame within a frame, and you are the original ground zero source of that creative energy in the form of your video. You see how leading with the video and stacking the frames this many times? Because notice how I've been showing you that you get a unique source of traffic on each frame. I mean, isn't that crazy? Oh, and by the way, Scoop It has an RSS feed that you can set up and run through the one feed to rule them all system. You see? So each one of these stories, each one of these elements, each one of these frames or platforms is all driving traffic to the video. It doesn't matter that window within a window within a window, which is going to be finally your video. If they click play on any one of these scooped platforms, any one of these frame platforms, you're getting video plays to your channels. You're hosting this video on all these platforms at the same time, and no matter where they click play, you're getting the plays. This is why it's so important that it be your video channel that this is on. Okay? Because you're getting traffic from all directions here, you guys. It's really crazy stuff. Okay. Now Scoop It, I can't say enough good things about Scoop It. Get Pro if you can. Here's Guillaume, who owns the Scoop It platform. I've had great conversations with him, tried to help him early on. He really has done a great job. Scoop It is a participation-based community, so I do encourage you to engage on the Scoop It platform. And you really do want to use a bookmarklet for Scoop It, which I show you in the over-the-shoulder course. That means it's easy, super easy peasy to scoop, okay? You can see that you can scoop by just using a Scoop It bookmarklet at the top. When you press it, you can scoop any story. Okay, very, very powerful methodology. When you get your magazines start getting momentum, it's a completely unique source of traffic. Okay, so here's the secret bonus frame. Secret bonus frame is Scoop It. Okay, take your Storify story and scoop it, just like you scooped your blog post that had your Storify story in it, or your blog post that did not have the Storify story in it, you can also scoop. And this is the secret, because every time I scoop a Storify story, I get double the traffic, because Scoop It drives a lot of traffic to Storify. And I think the trick is that the technology that is Scoop It, and when you scoop a Storify story, it looks really, really good inside Scoop It. I'll probably end up showing you a demo in the over-the-shoulder. And for some reason, just people like the way it looks, and so they pass it around a little bit more. And what ends up happening in that method, hopefully you can see this. You can see that this story, I promise you guys, this story only took like 7 minutes to make. I mean, it was incredibly fast. And you can see that Scoop It sent me 600 visitors for that story. Okay, and that's crazy. And there wasn't even a video in it. I mean, I'm kicking myself now. Oh, by the way, you can always go back and add a video. Like I could go back and add a video to this and re-syndicate it, which I'll probably do. But the point here is that you can see that you're getting multiple streams of traffic. Okay? And that's why it's really cool. This is an example. What I'm trying to show you here is that Scoop It loves Storify, and the users on Scoop It love Storify, as long as you have a video or a crazy meme or image at the top. And that's traffic within traffic. Okay. Now we're going to quickly talk about the big question that always comes up. Well, Russell, you haven't mentioned Twitter, Twyla, or Google Plus, or Pinterest. Well, once you've gone through those 5 or 6 frames, or, you know, guys, you don't have to do them all. Get rid of the ones that don't make sense. Learn to riff. Learn to improvise based on what it is that you're doing. Well, what you want to do is each one of those elements, each one of those frames that I'm talking about, you can do this during the process of iframing them, or you can do this after. When you're done, go back, depending upon, we have our outsourced team do that, so I'll sometimes do it in vitro. What that means is that each time I publish first it's the YouTube video, right? Then it's the Quora, then it's the Storify, then it's the Scoop, you know, the blog post, and whatever you're doing. Each time I will tweet every one of those through Twyla, because Twyla is a better tweeting system than Twitter. It adds images and videos, which is actually kind of a 7th frame, and it builds a website for you based on the tweets that come through your site. I love Twyla. We're going to give you a unique over-the-shoulder video in the 6 iframe punch course. The multi-curation course is another name for it. I also Google Plus every one of those frame elements. And then I also pin every one of those 5 or 6 frame elements that I've shown you every time. And if you do only those things, it'll become like clockwork, you guys. You don't have to worry about forgetting. Once you get this down, you practice. It's just like martial arts. You become a ninja at it. It's just something that you do every time. And it drives a lot of traffic, especially when you start building your followers on these other platforms, okay? It gets passed around. Please note, especially pin videos with Pinterest. And always check your Open Graph systems. Make sure your Open Graph is working, because if you start getting these types of things out in the social media networks and your Open Graph on your blog is broken, the images will not appear on your Facebook page, your Pinterest page, so on and so forth. Notice that I did not mention Facebook here. Okay, Facebook I consider a different universe. I automate the process of posting to Facebook from my blog. Therefore, I'm not going to put it here. Okay. And we'll get into this. You can see here, this is our Pinterest, one of our Pinterest walls. You can see how I pin videos. It's extremely important to pin videos, because that way you're getting the benefit of both the 2 most powerful addictive mediums online, videos and pictures or thumbnails. And it's double framing as well. You get a video play all the way to YouTube on your own channel, which brings up the page rank and gets traffic to your videos. So this is what you want to do. Make sure you especially pin videos. And this whole process, so when you pin that video from YouTube, you can see on this particular thing, that would have been step 1. As soon as you make your video and upload it, do all the Twyla tweet of that video right on the YouTube channel, and then pin it directly. YouTube videos look fantastic on Pinterest, and people love them. Preferably, you'll pull an image that looks good. Most of the time you do, so there you go. All right. And bonus 2 is extra juice, platforms that are doing better that you can, if you want to. SlideShare, Stumbled Upon, Reddit, Dig, and Tumblr. These are extras. These are the last thing on my list to do. But they do work when done properly. Perhaps you like them more than I do. We'll talk more about these in the over-the-shoulder video. So guys, this stuff is only scratching the surface of what we teach in the members-only area. Please do join us at networkempire.com/members-area. The grandfather offer is over, and so we're not going to be offering that anymore. But you can go to networkempire.com basics and see what the current price point is. And you probably want to get in at the $147 level if you want access to Painfinder. And we will be offering Painfinder as a standalone product. And if you want, you'll be able to buy that independently. But we strongly recommend that you join us now before the prices go up at $147. And all members, including the $49 members, will have access to my over-the-shoulder videos on the 6 iframe punch. Okay. Now I want to make sure that you have access to the grid of upgrades. We're going to amazing places with our products and services. And for those of you who don't have TOKT or Kraken and would like to add them to your bundle, we have special price points, and we're dropping those here for all webinar attendees. You can look at these price points. And some of you have really requested to add TOKT to your package. $49 members and $147 members do not have access to the last keyword tool or Kraken. So here's some of our special discounts and agency price packages for those of you who really want and understand the power of using natural language processing and human thinking, machines that can emulate the way humans think through co-occurrence and tangent market theming. Those of you who really want that should upgrade to TOKT or Kraken. By the way, if you can't afford it and you're a $49 member, you can get a 3-day Kraken subscription. And what you do when you have that is just buy Kraken for 3 days for $49. It's not on this chart here. And you'll be able to spend those 3 days doing all the research, keep the keywords, and then import them into Domain Web Studio, which you have as in your Lite package. Also, my temp Skype address is ThemeZoom. For those of you who have product questions, do join me on Skype. I am happy to help you with these product questions. We are working very hard to unify all this in one single unified field theory. And it's more than a theory. It's unified fields called Network Empire. It's going to incorporate all of these softwares into one system. Okay, and so that's why you want to get in with one of our package price points, a minimum of our $49. Come in and get opportunities to be grandfathered in. Usually we double the price when we go out of the grandfather phase. And members, if you were to talk to our members who are back with us in ThemeZoom 1.0, they would tell you the same thing. We are true to our membership. We grandfather everybody in at ridiculous prices. You know, some of our products are $1,000 a month, and we have members in that are only paying less than $3 because they were with us. They stayed with us. So that's how we really operate. Okay. So I know this has been a lot. One of the things I want you to understand is that I did not expect you or even imply that you would be able to incorporate things like the 6 iframe punch, the multi-curation and video curation systems I've been showing you. These are benefits and bonuses, and it should get your creative juices flowing. Hopefully you get a major understanding about the difference between your permanent content, which should last for a year or more, preferably, your non-evergreen content, which is flash in the pan industry news, announcements, company announcements, software offers, just anything that you can turn into a story, and you want to get out in less than 15 minutes. Okay? Hopefully you understand the difference of that. And my main purpose here is to show you the mind-boggling information that we're going to be able to give you. And what I'm really saying is that this over-the-shoulder course, the step-by-step, is giving you a seriously unfair advantage with 6 streams of traffic that you can manually curate. When you incorporate it with other courses that we have for you, like the one feed to rule them all, and the software like Domain Web Studio Lite, Kraken, TLKT, and Painfinder, you can literally start generating traffic minutes from now with an amazing kind of brand-building painkiller attitude, and become really the only viable option in your market for how to address the problems and pains that the market is that the market really is demanding. And on top of that, it's earn while you learn. Okay, there's things that I find out every day using Painfinder that our market cares about that I didn't even know, and I have the answers to most of those questions, but I didn't know the questions were being asked. So Painfinder allows me to do that quickly and to flip a story in under 15 minutes that drives traffic to that product page. That's why it's very important that you set up your website silo architecture, your permanent evergreen silo structure, and your ground zero transaction site first before you start jumping in to all this fast, rapid fire content creation, because this should be the carrot on the stick for you to build a really great website with really great transaction pages, because you're going to be able to rapid fire machine gun traffic to excellent content using videos. And you can see that the YouTube video was the icing on the cake here. It's the frame within the frame within the frame. Okay, and you can use that video everywhere. We're only showing you part of what it is that we do. You can use any kind of video you want on your landing page. Point is that you're going to drive massive traffic through your sales funnels and through your rapid fire traffic techniques with multiple traffic streams, and become the only viable option in your market, as an authority, and really literally become a content and video expert authority on the questions and the pains in the market, while you're ranking using far fewer inbound links than your competition with website silo architecture, reinforcing that website silo architecture with the rapid fire blogging that you're doing on one or more site. By the way, think about this. Your Storify story could be embedded on WR2 blogs as well. I actually have my Storify stories stolen all the time by people who are stealing Storify stories. And do I care? No, because all the elements in there are still linking back to my own network, my own sites. So it's kind of like steal this book, right? The Hoffman book. Yeah, steal this story. It only took me 7 minutes to create. Go ahead, propagate me. This is really what it's about. So yes, that's a question that's coming up right now on the webinar here. You can embed your Storify story not only in your own blog. Yes, you can embed your Storify stories on your WR2 blogs. In fact, in one health network I have, every time a cool story comes out, she has something like 19 blogs. She has a staff member embed her Storify story on 19 blogs, and she gets traffic from every one of them. And on her own blog, she does not always create a Storify story. Sometimes she'll take that story and write it out manually. On other clients that I have, they have a special category for stories, and they take the Storify story in the advanced SEO pro version. Okay, she has a pro version of Storify. In that case, it's okay to put it under a category in her blog broadcast her weekly blog or a daily blog, and she puts it in there, which is fully SEO optimized, but that's a paid, I think, $40 or $60 a month subscription with Storify. So to answer this question, do not embed Storify on your blog, or at least, a word of caution, if you do not have the pro version and it's a WR1 blog. Do not embed Storify on your blog if it's a WR1 blog and you do not have the pro version or SEO, unless you don't mind that that Storify will outrank you. Keep in mind that Storify story will still get ranked, but it'll be storify.com, and your blog will be nowhere to be found because you don't have the right SEO. If you want to embed the JavaScript and get the pro version, then you can embed it right in your blog. And even though you're doing that, make sure that the Storify story is not evergreen. That means that you spent less than 10 minutes on it, it's a bunch of elements, and you haven't written authority content. Okay, it's only got the very maximum of authority it's got as a video that you've taken 4 to 5 minutes to make. And if you spent more than 10 minutes making that video, it's probably worth writing a decent article and doing a real blog post with 700 to 1,000 words and all the elements yourself. And then you can still do a Storify story with that, but you're going to report that content is written. You're going to use it almost like a press release. For example, Sue Bell creates SEO expert talks about the dangers of RSS feeds. Okay, something like that. So if there's a huge article that Sue has written on that, I might do a story and the story is basically announcing that article exists. See what I mean? So I'm not going to necessarily embed that whole story into Storify, but I'll create a story about the real article. And then I'll go back to Storify and create a short story. Then I'll take the story about the article and embed it somewhere in one of our categories on our blog, which is company announcements or network empire announcements. Okay, all of this stuff I promise is covered in the over-the-shoulder video, and we'll talk about how it works. You don't have to do any of this stuff. Just wanted to make sure you guys had the option to generate traffic, just in case you were running out of time and you had very little time to write articles all the time. It should really be 80-20. In other words, you should still write 20% really awesome blog posts and don't cop out and make really short stories. But this is an amazing way to create massive amounts of traffic. And hopefully you've seen the value of this. Domain Web Studio is available at networkempire.com. Painfinder is available at networkempire.com. People who want to join at the $49 level will get Domain Web Studio Lite. Please visit us at networkempire.basic.com. And we look so forward to seeing you on the inside. Thank you so much for joining us today on today's webinar. We look forward to seeing you on the next one.